Couple years ago, Joe Myers published a book called The Search to Belong. And if I could have required that you read 4 books for this class, that would have been book number 4. I think it's brilliant and provocative. At times it's offensive and it's challenging, but I think it's essential reading for how we do interpersonal relational ministry in the 21st century. Well, here's his gist, okay? He says that space, like the way we feel belonging in different spaces, changes. There's a public space, a social space, a personal space, and an intimate space. Public space is big spaces. University of Michigan football games, Sunday morning church where you got 500-600 people, 6,000 people all doing the same thing. It's an important relational space because you feel a sense of belonging and a sense of connection. And you feel like this is your church, this is your team, these are your people. It all matters. Next, you have social space, which is quite a bit smaller. Social space might be, I don't know, like a potluck or an adult Sunday school thing, where you got maybe 15 or 20 people and you're talking to everybody. You have a closer sense of belonging. You relate to them better. You share some things about yourself, not a ton, but at least you're offering something back and you're giving up your anonymity in order to engage. Well, Myers' point is that the social space is not either more important or less important in the healthy emotional life of a believer than the public space. Both of those things count, and they count equally. Next, you have personal space. So if you want to imagine a scenario where you and 3 friends, or maybe you and your spouse and another spouse and their spouse are out for dinner, the 4 of you, well, there you're talking about things that are a little more personal. You're talking maybe about your families, about your concerns for your finances or your well-being. You're yucking it up and laughing, and you feel like, man, these are our people. These are our really good friends. Well, again, Myers' point is that you need those personal relationships, but they are neither more or less important than the social and the public relationships. Last but not least is what Myers refers to as intimate space. Intimate space is the space in which you only have 1 or 2, maybe 3 people in your whole life. It's your best friend, it's your wife, maybe it's like your dad or somebody to whom you're totally close. This is where you talk about what scares you. This is where you talk about your dreams and your ambitions for the future, how you want to shadow God, what you want to do with your life, the things that keep you up at night, either in terror or in anticipation. And Myers' point is that that intimate space is not any more important than the other 3 spaces. And his critique in the book, The Search to Belong, is that the church frequently forces people to get into those intimate spaces. That's, after all, the most often promised, that's the big carrot in small groups, be intimate with everybody. Well, we actually shouldn't be intimate with everybody. It's inappropriate. We can't handle that kind of emotional and relational pressure, and we don't want that many people in our business, nor should we be in that many other people's business. We don't have the trust or the relationship, nor should we. And yet most small group ministries hold up the value of intimacy as though somehow that's this amazing godly thing. But even Jesus only had 3 particularly close friends. Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden only had 1 other person besides the Lord with who they were naked and unashamed, and yet we somehow have this idea that forcing people towards intimacy is good. But here's the quote Myers says, a quote that changed me forever. It was so provocative. He said, "Forced intimacy is rape, and churches always want to force intimacy." Now, that's a provocative quote. It's offensive, but he's right. We need to learn how to value those other relational spaces so that our people grow up healthy and know how to relate in all kinds of different ways to other people and to what God is doing through those other people in those relational spaces.